In our last episode, we saw how Zapier can be a powerful tool in automating your office tasks. This week, we take it a step further by showing how you can use ChatGPT to add even more automation functionality. ChatGPT is the key to automating tasks that you never could automate before. I'm Bill Eastman, and this is the AI for Your Business channel. It's the channel business people can come to quickly learn how they can leverage AI. Click on the subscribe button below to be sure not to miss any tips and tools. Now, in our last episode, we introduced Zapier, standard use cases, and how to get started with your first Zaps. If you're new to Zapier, I recommend you watch that episode first. This week, we're going to dive right in with review of some ChatGPT-enabled use cases, and then show you how to set up a few. Let's get started. ChatGPT is ideal for those scenarios when the data coming from one office tool is unstructured and you need to pull out the key data points to pass on to your other office tools. And obviously, ChatGPT is good when you need to generate communications. I'm going to share some sample use cases to help kickstart your thinking on automations that you can try. We have a lot to cover, so I'm just going to touch on a few here, but you can go into the show notes to see all the list. And I'm mentioning specific office tools, but since Zapier works with over 7,000 office tools, there's a good chance you can emulate these use cases if you have different tools. So starting at the top of the list here, let's take a look at when we get AI drafted lead responses. So we've gotten a new lead via Typeform, and we're going to use ChatGPT to summarize the prospect's pain points and generate a personalized email. And then we're going to send that via Gmail. And we're going to do it all in one step via Zapier. Another one would be, let's say we've gotten a proposal from a client and it's a PDF attachment to a Gmail. So we're going to extract the info from that attachment via OCR. We're going to have ChatGPT pull out the project scope, the deadline, and the budget. And then we're going to create a new Asana task with those details. Moving on. Let's say we've had a Zoom meeting. And so after the Zoom meeting, Zoom creates a transcript, and we're going to load that into Google Drive. And then we're going to send that transcript to ChatGPT to extract the key action items and the attendees. And then we're going to add those as checklist items in Trello cards. And one more here. Let's say we get these RSS feeds, say industry or community feeds. And we're going to send the headlines and summaries to ChatGPT to produce a 200-word digest. And then we're going to email that digest to a subscriber list via MailChimp. So that's the high level on these cases. We're going to dive into a couple of them. The first use case, we're going to take a look at, we're going to download an invoice attached to a Gmail. We're going to have ChatGPT pull the key info from the invoice, and we're going to rename the invoice based upon the extracted info, and we're going to save it to a Google Drive folder, and then we're going to create a new entry in QuickBooks with the extracted info. And then we're going to do a second use case where we take a picture of a business card, load it to Google Drive, have ChatGPT pull the key info from the business card, and load that info into your HubSpot contacts. So let's get started. Before we begin the demos, you'll need to have an OpenAI API key. An API key is sort of like a login ID for an application. So to create one, we're going to do this. You're going to go to openai.com, and when you click on Login in the upper right, you'll get a drop-down menu. Click on API Platform, and then after spinning around a bit, depending on the speed of your computer, it's going to bring up a separate page with the settings icon in the upper right. You're going to click on that, and then in the settings page, you're going to click on API keys in the left menu bar. And there you can click Create New Secret Key in the upper right, and then just follow the directions. Make sure to save that secret key in a secure place. So you have an API key now, but you're not done yet. Even if you're on the OpenAI $20 a month plan, you're going to need to add money to your account because API usage is charged separately. Prices have dropped enough so that the cost is pretty negligible unless you're doing something large scale. So $5 should be plenty to get started. And to top off your account, go to Billing in the left menu bar. And once you're in there, just follow the directions to add money to your account. Now we're ready. Once again, for our first use case, we've received an invoice. We're going to download that invoice, pull out the relevant info, and load that info into QuickBooks. Let's first take a look at the invoice. In our Gmail inbox, we see the email with the attached invoice. And for this invoice, or for this demo, we've just pulled a sample invoice from the web. We see an invoice number, a date, a PO number, description and quantity of the components, and the dollar amounts. When you consider this is just one format which an invoice could take, you realize this isn't something you could set up predefined fields for. So ChatGPT's intelligence is vital to pull out structured data. And so now we're in Zapier, and we'll begin by clicking Zap, and that takes us to the Zap canvas. We'll call our Zap Gmail Invoice Arrow QuickBooks. Then we'll click in our trigger and choose Gmail as the app. For the trigger event, you see both new attachment and new email matching search. We'll choose new attachment because we'll be able to choose search terms in the configure step. You then connect to your Gmail account and hit continue. Here we see we can choose which mailbox to monitor. We'll choose inbox. Then we can add our search keywords. For this demo, we'll just use invoice. Then we click continue and see that it's captured our test email. So we click continue with selected record, and that prompts us to choose our next application. For ChatGPT to read the invoice, we need to scan the PDF and convert it to text. We take for granted that we can just load a PDF to ChatGPT and it'll work with that. But behind the scenes, it's actually converting that PDF to text to work with it. So we're going to have to do the same. I'm going to use the application pdf.co for this because it seems pretty well regarded. You'll have to pay for this PDF conversion service, but it does have a 1-month free trial. Note that pdf.co also uses an API key and shows your key when you sign up. As with your OpenAI key, copy the key and save it in a secure place. Once you've signed up, come back, choose pdf.co as your app, and for your action event, enter PDF to anything converter. When we try to register our pdf.co account, we get to use that API key that we saved. Enter that, and you'll get hooked into Zapier. We continue to the configure pane, and for the output format, we'll choose plain text with layout. We'll choose attachment to the source file URL, or for the source file URL, and we also have to change inline output option to true because otherwise it'll return the output to a URL, which doesn't work for this use case. We continue, and in the test pane, we'll click test step. We'll watch it spin a bit, and the green check tells us we were successful. We won't click publish, but instead close the pop-up screen to add our next action. We're going to click the plus icon to add the action, and for our app, we'll enter ChatGPT. Our action event will be extract structured data, and to connect ChatGPT to Zapier, you'll need that OpenAI API key that you saved above. We'll click continue to move on to the configure pane. In the unstructured text box, we'll enter a slash and then pick PDF to anything converter from our previous step. Under that, we'll choose body, and I don't totally trust the mini model, so I'll switch to GPT-4o for the model. Here's where ChatGPT comes into play. The description box is where you enter your prompt, and we'll use the following. You're an account assistant. From the text below, extract these fields exactly in JSON format. Invoice number, invoice date, total amount, vendor name, due date, and we have a reference to the text here. We asked ChatGPT to put the output in JSON format to make it easy to tie the fields to their values in later steps, but in the values to extract field, we still break them out. Invoice number, invoice date, total amount, vendor name, due date. Next, you can choose a temperature between 0 and 1. A value of 0 gives 0 variability, but it also can be a little more limited in dealing with invoices in various formats. I chose 0.7, but you might want to experiment with that. We continue on to the test step and run the test, and once again, we get a green check mark. Now we're going to save the invoice to our Google Drive Invoices folder, creating a file name with the vendor, invoice number, and date. We click the plus icon and choose Google Drive for the app. Upload file is our action event. And then, of course, we have to connect Zapier to our Google Drive account. Once we've done that, we continue to the configure pane. For our folder, we begin by choosing our drive and then our invoices folder, leading to the file box. Typing a / shows a list of our previous action steps, and we choose New Attachment in Gmail. Then under that, we choose Attachment. We're asked if we want to convert it to a document, and we check False because we want to keep it as a PDF in the drive. For the invoice file name, we're going to use the vendor name, invoice number, and date separated by underscores. So we type / and then we choose Extract Structured Data in ChatGPT. Then we choose vendor name, type an underscore, choose invoice number, underscore, and then of course date. And when we've done that, we just enter PDF in the file extension field. We continue to the test step, and once again we get the green check. We check out the invoices folder in our Google Drive, and voila, we see the file we've named, and opening it up reveals our invoice PDF. Now to QuickBooks. I'm going to assume that you're a QuickBooks user and have account settings somewhat similar to what I'll share. But don't worry if you're not, because you can use a similar approach for other software. We click on the plus icon to create a new action. We're actually going to break our QuickBooks action down into 2 actions, one to find the vendor and then one to enter the invoice. If we just go with a create bill action, then it becomes a little less robust. So we'll choose QuickBooks for our app, and our action event will be find vendor. Go ahead and connect Zapier to QuickBooks, and we continue to the configure pane. There in the name box, we're going to enter the vendor name from the invoice. So we choose Extract Structured Data from ChatGPT, and then the vendor name field. We'll continue, and in the test step, we get the green check. We'll click on the plus icon one last time to enter the invoice into QuickBooks. After choosing QuickBooks for the app, we'll choose Create Bill, account-based, for our action event. We continue to the configure pane, and here it gets a little tricky. For the vendor, it presents us with our vendor list from QuickBooks, but we need to be able to pick the vendor returned by the Get Vendor step before. So you go over to the 3 dots at the right of the vendor box, and there you'll see the option Custom. Choose that, and you'll get our menu of previous action steps. We choose Find Vendor in QuickBooks Online, and then under that we choose ID. For transaction date, we'll go back to Extract Structured Data in ChatGPT, and we'll choose Invoice Date. For bill number, we'll go back to ChatGPT and pick Invoice Number. Same for the amount. We'll reference the total amount field in ChatGPT. We'll also need to choose the account, and for this purpose, we'll choose the vendor payments category that we've set up in QuickBooks. We'll continue, and let's test it out. Success. Now if I go into QuickBooks, I see this new invoice has been added. Yay! So we'll go ahead and publish the Zap, and once it's done, we can go into our Zaps and we see our newly created Zap. Okay, now on to our use case of loading business cards into our HubSpot contacts. I'll lay out what we're going to do. We're going to take a picture of a business card. We're going to load the picture to a Google Drive folder using the Google Drive app. Then we're going to translate iPhone pictures from HEIC format to JPEG. Then we're going to have ChatGPT view the image and then pull out the relevant information. And then we're going to load that info into HubSpot. So, I'm assuming you have Google Drive, but there's some initial setup work you need to do. First, create a folder in your Google Drive to save your business card pics to. Let's just call it business cards. Then create a subfolder for the reformatted files. Let's just call it processed cards. Once you have that set up, make sure you have the Google Drive app on your iPhone or your Android device. Then we have one more preparatory step. iPhones create pictures in HEIC format, but not all apps work with that. Therefore, we need to convert the pictures to JPEG format. In order to convert the card photos to JPEG format, we're going to use an application called Cloud Convert. It integrates with Zapier and it works with all sorts of file types, so it fits our bill here. It's priced at $17 for 1,000 conversions, which doesn't seem bad when you're in the middle of doing a lot of conversions manually. But it also gives you 10 free conversions a day, which should be enough for most purposes. So go ahead and sign up. Now we're ready. We'll begin by simply taking a picture of the business card. Then we go into our pictures, click the share icon, and in the list of apps to share with, we find Drive. You may have to scroll to the end and click more to find it. But once we have it up, we choose Folder and My Drive, and then our Business Cards folder. In the folder, we click Save Here down in the lower right, and then we upload the image. And now if we click our folder, we see the picture we uploaded. As mentioned above, we're going to convert that picture to JPEG. Here's where Zapier comes in. As before, in the Zapier homepage, we create a new Zap. And in the Zapier canvas, we'll give the Zap a name. Let's say BizCard Arrow HubSpot. Then in the trigger, we'll choose Google Drive for our app. The trigger event is going to be new file and folder. And if you didn't tie Zapier to Google Drive in the previous demo, then go ahead and do that and then continue. In the configure pane for the drive, just pick your Google Drive. And for folder, we'll choose business cards. We'll continue to test the trigger, and it'll choose the business card picture we loaded to test on. It gives us the green check mark, and so we continue with the selected record. That takes us to our action step to convert the file to JPEG. For our app, we enter Cloud Convert, and for our action event, we choose Convert a File. Go ahead and connect Zapier to Cloud Convert and continue. In the configure pane for the file, enter a slash and then choose File. The output format is JPEG, and I'd choose HEIC for the input format, but Android photos aren't in this format, so I'm going to leave it blank. Then we can continue on to the test step, and we get the green check for our test. Now, we can't put the converted file back into our business cards folder because that would trigger a new Zap and put us in an endless loop. So we're going to add a step to load the converted file to our process cards folder. In the new step, we choose Google Drive for our app, and for our action event, we pick Upload File. You should already be connected to Google Drive, so you can continue to the configure pane. There, for the drive, we choose My Google Drive, and for the folder, we choose Process Cards. For the file, we go into Convert a File in Cloud Convert, and there we choose Task Results Files. We'll continue and test it out. And sure enough, if we go into our Process Cards folder, we see the converted file. Now we're getting to the good stuff. In Zapier, we now add the step to have ChatGPT pull the data from the business card. So for our app, we're going to enter ChatGPT, and our action event is going to be Analyze Images. Go ahead and connect Zapier to ChatGPT and let's continue. Here in the configure pane for the message, we'll enter our prompt. This is the point where you'll need to be familiar with your contact fields in HubSpot. So here's the prompt. Note how we request the output format be formatted in JSON to make it easy to parse. Excuse me. So you're an expert business card scanner. Wonder what that pays. Analyze the attached image of a business card and extract the following info. First name, last name, job title, company name, etc. We have some rules to follow, like if a field is blank, or if you have a mobile number, or making sure to return the output in JSON format. We give it an example layout, and we'll continue on from there. So we'll go on to the images box, and in there we go to upload file in Google Drive, and we choose file. We continue to the test pane, and once again we get a green check. We have to take one more step to get the data into the format we need to load to HubSpot. This time for our app, we're going to choose Utilities, and under that code. For our action event, we're going to choose Run JavaScript. I know that sounds a bit scary, but we're going to keep it simple. In the configure pane under input data, we're going to actually type JSON data. Then in the box to the right, we're going to go with Analyze Images in ChatGPT, and in there we're going to choose Image Analysis. We go to the code box below, and there we parse that JSON that we created with ChatGPT by typing return json.parse parentheses input data.json data. Then hit continue and test it out. Looks like all's well. Now for the grand finale. We're going to take the data that we parsed out and create a new contact in HubSpot. So for our new step, we choose HubSpot as our app. And for our app event, we choose Create or Update Contact. Connect Zapier to your HubSpot account, and then let's continue. In the configure pane, we see a whole host of fields that we can populate. Starting with contact email, we go into Run JavaScript and Code by Zapier. And there we see all the fields that we parsed out before. Just go ahead and choose email. We can do the same for the remaining fields we parsed from the business card, but it does take some time to go through all these HubSpot fields in this pane. And there's one HubSpot field called Customer Journey Stage that you might want to manually fill out. So you can select New Contact in here, and that'll separate these new contacts from your more established relationships. So let's go offline for the moment to fill it out and then come back. Okay, the Zapier test was successful, and now we'll check if our Zap is working. So in HubSpot, we go into our contacts, and there we see our new contact. Thumbs up. Woo! Okay, we've covered a lot today, even just setting up 2 use cases. I know you're probably thinking, what happens when I go off on my own? We've learned a lot today, but there's still going to be lots of occasions where you're not sure how to set up a Zap or what selections you should make. In these cases, I really encourage you to use Zapier's AI assistant or to go to ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude and work through your questions with them. Between what you've learned here and the support you get from them, there's all sorts of office processes you can automate. But if you have questions or would like more details, please leave a comment below. Next episode, we're going to look at how to automate web scraping and to combine it with ChatGPT to create an information funnel for your business. So please subscribe to not miss these and other ways to optimize your use of AI. And if you've gotten some value today, please leave a like. Till next time, good luck with your business.